Welcome back. Modern Relics Podcast. I'm Angel. He's Lucky. We're here again. We've returned. I have come back from the other side of the globe to regale our audience one more time. You are on mute hard. You're so muted, it hurts.
So sorry for
There you go. That's okay. How are you, man?
I'm doing all right. I'm actually doing pretty good.
Nice.
How are you? Is more the question.
I'm sick. I am being held together with chemicals at the moment, which sucks because I got sick on the second to last day in Spain.
Oh no!
And I knew it was going to happen.
It was the paella, huh?
No, actually.
No.
It was all the tapas.
So much. It was all the tapas.
I had so much patatas bravas when I was out there. I'm surprised I'm not a partial potato at the moment. No, which brings me to one of many grievances we'll cover about my trip. But the number one grievance is the reckless lack of hygiene by human beings in Europe. I was on a city bus. This is after spending...
Do hygiene recklessly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly right. After spending 18 hours on an aircraft where people are open mouth coughing and just being dredges of society. All of them are like mostly old people about ready to get on a cruise or whatever. Like I'm on a city bus and a woman behind me sneezed a wet mist on the back of my neck and my ears. And I was just like, I literally turned around and I'm like, what the fuck? And just expressionless, devoid, just kind of looked at me and like, and I was just like, this is so fucking gross. So I'm like grabbing sleeves of shirts and like
a National Lampoon movie,
wiping like biomatter off my neck and my ears. And I was like, I'm going to get sick. Like I've been around nothing but sick people the whole time. This is just not good. And sure enough, second to last day there, I go to the pharmacia and I'm just like, whatever Spanish version of like Theraflu and Dayquil you've got, I'm just going to start eating it right out of the bag, doing the best I could. And it was really brutal because I'm also going into a really humid environment. So like it's not super hot, but like you're constantly sticky and wet and sweating, and it's just like your pores are all open, and I'm like, this is just no good. So I went to Spain and I had a really amazing journey of like seeing all of the old architecture from Spain that I really wanted to see my whole life, especially La Sagrada Familia. And
the pictures were gorgeous.
Yeah,
beautiful pictures.
I took thousands of them. I've edited maybe a dozen or so that I've put out so far, and I keep leaking a few more on places like Instagram and stuff, and it was really amazing. But I have not traveled since before the pandemic, and things one should know, like I do speak a fair amount of Spanish. So things people should know, if you're traveling outside of the United States, that I think are just common practice courtesy. If you're going to a place that doesn't have a United States Constitution, understand that their laws are going to be different. Understand that there may not be due process there. Try to put your best foot forward with a basic concept of a few phrases to get by in the language that's native to the country that you're visiting. And like, try. And that went really, really far when I went to Italy in 2018. And I spent 2 weeks in Italy and all over the Mediterranean. It was unbelievable. What I have to say was different is if you thought American males were becoming weak, wait till you meet the Europeans. No, if you think that
where this is headed,
our country has been divided at all and put into the blender with our own bubbles post-pandemic and during the pandemic, and we've become so polarized, like you have not seen anything yet. Every single day that I was in Spain, every single day, There was a massive protest about something. Most of the city's infrastructure was under construction. There was a protest about that. There was a bunch of people pissed off about the tourism, and there was a protest about that. There was a pro-Palestine protest the day after that. Then there was a protest, and I shit you not, the cab drivers of the city blocked off all of the major arterial roads to get to where FC Barcelona plays soccer, because the title sponsor besides Spotify to the team was Uber, and they were pissed because Uber's taking money out of their pockets. So they all banded together to protest that. So then people couldn't go to the game. Then there were protests the day after that about more to do with exchange rate with France and something else, and tourism and blah, blah, blah. Because I think France is on the Euro too.
The Spanish Berkeley, more or less.
It was absurd, because my take is the people there are very much the way San Diego is to the rest of California state, where it's like very cool and laid back, very the day will come to you, very beach bum kind of like, it's all good, bro. Like, let's hang out and stuff. And there's an interesting factoid about Barcelona in that it is a separate and independent community within the country of Spain, in Catalonia. So naturally, there's going to be a difference of thought and opinion, right? The people there share a deep history with Basque people as well. So there's like sections of different local people. So you're like, sure, they're going to be a little more rowdy just by nature, right? They're rebellious by nature. The Spanish War, there's a ton of history there that takes place, especially there, because it's a big port town. But now I think there were 6 cruise boats in docks. So you're like, oh, fuck. There's going to be Brits and Australians, and there's going to be Americans, and the malaise of like hatred toward everything there, coupled with the protest to match it, was unlike anything I'd ever seen before. Truly. Like, that would be like me, a resident of the Las Vegas area, protesting tourism to Las Vegas. It's like, I looked it up. It's 14.5% of the aggregate GDP of Barcelona is tourism, and it employs almost a third of their people is employed in the hospitality, travel, tourism sector.
I mean, yeah,
that would be like me doing the same thing and be like, get the fuck out of Las Vegas. Like we need these people to come here. You know what I mean? Like it to me, that didn't make a lot of sense. Now, if you're a dickhead and you're just like tromping through somebody else's country, expecting them to act and conduct commerce and stuff in the way that it's done in your country, your mindset is not the way I would recommend it to be, right? And I can prove this in a couple of cases, because in every single situation where I had to conduct a business transaction of some kind that was tourism related, it was met with unbelievable vitriol. And no more so than it's like the first day I'm sick, which is like second to last day that I'm there. I'm already kind of run down, but I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go find a guitar shop, and I'm going to go buy like some guitar picks or something, like for a souvenir. This would be really cool. Like, oh, I got these picks in Spain, or maybe a set of strings or something small I can fly home with, you know? So I go there, and it's about a half a mile walk from where I'm at. And there's a big sign on the door when I get there. And the sign's written in English and in Spanish. And it says, attention tourists, during the busy season, unless you intend on buying a guitar, we're probably not going to pull it off the shelf and let you play it, because that's all we're going to put up with all day long, right? And as a music store owner, I would probably put something up similar. That and like No Stairway to Heaven and, you know, usual guitar shop shit.
Right.
So I walk in, there's a guy at the counter, and then presumably like the manager who's conversing with another customer, and I'm listening to their conversation about fixing his guitar. And so I walk in, and I'm kind of just looking around at all the stuff, and the guy looks up from his magazine, and he points at the sign. I'm like, yep, got it. He says, I'm not helping you. Cool. And I take another step kind of in, and I'm like looking around, not really at the guitars, but like at accessories and stuff. And he says it again and like taps on another sign. It's a duplicate of the same sign under the glass on the front. And he's like, I'm not helping you. And I'm just like, okay. Quiero ver pruebas de guitarra. Like I'm looking for picks, not a guitar. And he's like, I don't care. I'm not helping you. And I was like, fuck you. And I walked out of the shop. Fuck you. That's a universal sign. Like, I walked a half a mile to get it. Like, fuck you, dude. So I walk out. The manager's like, what the fuck is going on? He comes out, you know, like, hey, what was that? And I'm like, I can read in both languages, by the way. Like, I understand that you don't want me playing your shop guitars. Was hoping to get picks or strings or a bookmark. I don't fucking know. Like a souvenir, you know? I'm a musician at home, but well, okay. Unusual. Do you want to come back in? I'm like, no, I don't. Like, buenas tardes, man. Buenas tardes. Like, have a good afternoon. I'm out. Fuck you. And it was like that everywhere we went. And another prime example, and if we put it on socials, I'll send you the photograph. It was taken on my big camera, so I'll have to dig it out of one of my folders and send it to you. But the first day we were there, they have these little kiosks at most of the major intersections. And of course, we're staying on what I would consider very much like Bourbon Street in Louisiana. It's the busiest, called La Ramblas. It's like the busiest fucking street there because it's the mouth of the Gothic Quarter, which is what a lot of people go to that side of the city to look at and stuff. So I recognize I'm in a tourist, street hustlers, pickpockets, vendors, hey, people clapping stuff to get your attention, you know, come into our restaurant, the whole 9 yards. But there are little boxes, and they staff these boxes with city employees, and it says tourist information. And it's like, hey, if I want to get on a city bus, where are the stops? Can I have a map? This, that, and the other thing. And they'll sell you tickets to get on these things. And we had walked by this, the same one, and I was taking photos of the courtyard, which was unbelievably beautiful with all these like old statues and stone carvings, and it's really incredible. And the very next day, I take a photo of the same thing on the side, and it says "Tourists go home," written in spray painted in black spray paint, and underneath it, it says "Free Palestina." And so, like, now they're just conflating whatever they want to be activists about into the same sentence, and it's like, "Fuck all of you." But I mentioned to the person I was with, I was like, "Man, there's a lot of anti-Jewish sentiment here, like everywhere." And it was met with a response of like, are you sure you're not just being sensitive to that? Like, you know, and I'm like, no, I'm here to have a good time. But like, I'm both looking with my eyes as somebody who can survive on a street anywhere in the world. Like, yeah. But also through the lens of a camera, I'm seeing this all over the place. And 2 days later, that person was like, you're absolutely right. I've never seen so much anti-Jewish rhetoric. It's everywhere you look. Everywhere you look. It's on cars, it's on license plates, it's on bumper stickers, it's written in windows and shoe polish, it's spray painted on street signs. It was unbelievable. So we're like, well, let's just try to have as much of a good time as we possibly can, enjoying the things that we're here to see. And that's where I started learning about Spanish culture through some of the information that I'm listening to in an earpiece on my phone as I'm looking around at all this different stuff. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. There's this beautiful like stone statue in the middle of a street that is like they built a European driving circle around it, and it's like a center marker for kind of where the port stops and the Gothic Quarter begins. And there's this beautiful Archangel Michael and an Archangel Raphael, and there's like a sword that's being drawn or whatever. And I'm listening to the history of it, and it's like, actually, this is where we used to hang people in the town square and stuff before the Spanish Inquisition. Oh my God. So then I go up to this palace, and they're like, yeah, so in the Spanish Civil War, they used this to throw ordnances at the Catalan freedom fighters down below. And so when they finally stormed up here and took this place over after weeks of harsh battle, they killed the prince or whatever and executed him right in front of hundreds of thousands of people. Everyone cheered. You're just like, oh my God. And then you like learn about all the craziness that happened with Spain, like, and how they ended up taking over a country that was sort of the mother country for Mexico and stuff like that, and how they conquered and kept conquering and kept conquering. And then the unbelievable length of the Spanish Inquisition, which was basically this: Muslims and Jews that have converted to Christianity, good news, but we don't trust that you meant it. So we're going to have this Inquisition find out if you were serious about that conversion or not. And that just went on for 400 years. And you're just like, wow, you guys didn't really have a solid plan, but because it was Isabella and other important names of the 14, 15, 1600s and beyond, it just kind of became commonplace. And that's sort of how you conducted business. That's wild.
Yeah, I have local people, some of the local characters that we have spoken about in the past that not only they're very historically knowledgeable. So, but they'll go and do full podcasts on the Spanish Inquisition, and their take on it is based. That's they should have done that. They should have gone everywhere and killed everybody who wasn't converting to Catholicism.
Yeah.
Right. And instead of looking at it in the way that the rest of the world kind of sees, like, what is conversion if it's forced?
Right.
Like, it's not, like,
exactly.
And so a conversion should be a change of heart. It should be something that you choose to go to. Anything else is absurd. But by the sword, the Spanish Inquisition was a 400-year massacre that tends to get kind of like mentioned, but not really explored within the historical context of Western society. And I think it's an interesting historical event that, I don't know, like, you got to be and see the context of that right in the middle of it, which is pretty cool. But yeah,
you could feel in certain parts of that city, like, sort of the vibrations of history through it, just standing in some of the areas and like actually just looking at what was done. But I was mostly there because I'm a huge Anthony Gaudi fan, and other popular artists that were huge Anthony Gaudi fans include Salvador Dali, also from the same place. Now, Salvador Dali was not a great guy, but he had a lasting impression on the world of art. And
for sure.
So did Anthony Gaudi. And I got to see the Mecca in my mind for architectural design, which was La Sagrada Familia, and it is unreal. Like, and this was the funny customer service interaction I had, is like, respectfully, one takes one's hat off when they're in church, especially on someone else's soil and stuff. And I had my sunglasses and I had a big camera bag and stuff. So I was like fumbling with my sunglasses and my camera bag. And I put my sunglasses on top of my head for a second while I was like futzing around in my bag. And I'm standing in the gift shop of La Sagrada Familia, where you can buy rosaries and coins and books and models and stuff. And one of the girls that was working there, she's like, "Oh, could you take off your glasses in the Lord's house?" And I like took them off and I kind of looked at her and I was like, "I don't entiende de reglos aquí. Like, you built a gift shop in God's house." And she was kind of like, "Touche." Like, we're standing in a gift shop. Like, sure, but think about what you just asked me to do, And she kind of like blushed and was like, "Good point, bro. Good point." And kind of chuckled and walked off. And I was like, whatever. And like, bought my fucking trinkets and off I went. But to be honest, like, that building has been under construction for 160 years. And the coolest part about it is like the most detailed ornamentation of like his magnum opus of design. Like, all the structures are all self-sustaining and things like that. And the layers and the detail that go through it are incredible. But what I found awesome and the reason why I was never finished was because all of the works that Antoni Gaudi was commissioned to do were completed. This entire structure throughout its history is all donation based. All of it. And it survived a Spanish Civil War, and it survived hundreds of years of like different leadership and swings through time. And everyone had the respect enough to be like, well, let's just do another round of fundraising, and when we can, we'll throw some cash at it, and we'll just keep building on it against the designs. Like during the Spanish Civil War, all his models and his architectural drawings, most of those were burned up. So like a lot of it was, we're getting down to the last center spire, and Spain is now funding the completion of it. I was led to believe it would be done this year. Unfortunately, there's still a lot of cranes and stuff surrounding that building, putting the finishing touches on it. So I guess it will be done next year. And this is twice that this has happened to me, because when I went to see Athena's temple and stuff in Greece on the big hill, it was covered in like scaffolding and stuff. And Greece was doing a full reclamation thing, which was cool because they had like every brick they took out, they put serial numbers on and like longitude, latitude of exactly how that brick was laid into that foundation. They will put it back the same way and stuff, but they had to do a bunch of preservation things. And I assume La Sagrada Familia will be the same thing. The only downside to it, man, the only downside was that there were hundreds and hundreds of people there. So it was like really kind of a bummer that I didn't selfishly get to see some of the parts of that cathedral myself, you know, or at least have some room to take a shot that didn't have 100 different heads in it. So I did the best I could. But I also took a series of photos that I think you'll find intriguing. And when I'm done compiling them, I'll send them to you. But there was a lot of like really old architecture from like 1400 to present day, all throughout the city, all over the city, right? In the Gothic quarter in different areas. And I took several photos of like these beautiful statues, but behind it was like this giant billboard poster stuck to the side of a brick building that said iPhone 17 Pro. Or like I took a picture of an angel and behind it there's Foot Locker like kind of stapled up on top of this thing. And then probably the best one, dude, is directly across the street from La Sagrada Familia is a McDonald's. And in that McDonald's, they put fake stained glass up and shit like that. And I took a photo through the stained glass of La Sagrada Familia with the giant McDonald's logo in the foreground, like taking over. It's fucking unreal. I was like, this is too good to pass up. So like, there's a few Easter egg photos of there's just this emblazoned, like, you know, come see so-and-so live at the wherever the fuck, you know, iPhone 17 Pro Max, Foot Locker, McDonald's. It's just unbelievable. And then to have all the people kind of just being shitty all over town was like unusual compared to pre-pandemic travel. Last time I was out in a different country was 2019 in Mexico, came home right when the pandemic kicked off. But the big travel before that, last time I went around the world was in 2018, and it was a way different vibe, like way different. So a lot has changed. And I'm just getting to see it, you know, through fresh eyes, basically being there for the first time. But it was still really awesome.
I think that's a good time lapse to be able to see the difference. Mm-hmm. Like if you had gone every year, it would have been so incremental that you wouldn't have been really able to notice the difference.
That's right.
And then kind of look back on it and go, yeah, maybe it was a little different back in 2018 had you gone every year, but putting that much of a gap and being able to see firsthand the enormous leap that European society has taken in the last, 5, 6, 7 years is, it's probably very eye-opening, like you're kind of describing. In probably not a great way. Like it almost made it hard. I would imagine it almost made it hard to even enjoy the landscape when your head was on a swivel constantly and you're always in your head thinking, am I the enemy of this place that I admire? And
well,
and why?
It's hard not to feel that way. It's hard not to feel that way when everyone's so up in arms about it. But like, then you talk to some of the local folks, you know, in a restaurant or, you know, a little tapas bar somewhere, because the modus operandi of that country is weird. Nobody starts work until 10 a.m.
By the way, folks, just not to pause here, but just for the sake of maybe the online listeners or even the YouTube listeners, when he say, like, some people may not be familiar with the concept of tapas. He's not saying topless.
Yeah, tapas.
Often tapas.
I'm sick, so it might sound like topless, which is the whole reason I went to Spain. No.
So yeah, I just wanted to clarify that tapas is a type of small plate cuisine that is famous in Spain.
Yeah, so. And it literally means topper. It's supposed to be like a wine bottle topper. It's not a real meal. It's something that is just to munch on while you're drinking and enjoying the company of somebody else. So Spain kind of starts life at around 10 a.m. And then in the summertime, when it's excruciatingly hot, they take a siesta for like 2 to 3 hours in the middle of the day. They'll just shut the business down and nobody's working. Now, this is not everywhere in Spain, but in some places, it's still widely regarded as common practice. And then they will reopen at like 7 p.m. and dinner usually starts at 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And then people will just hang out until 11 or midnight or whatever. And then the day resets when it resets. So it was different because if you're from America, I'm not a big breakfast guy, but you're usually ready for dinner around 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night kind of thing is kind of common practice. And it's just different. So yeah, I talked to a couple of people there that were really cool, especially when you can get by with their language. You know what I mean? And they're like, oh, cool, you're not a fucking asshole. Like, this is great. You know, oh, awesome. I thought all Americans were kind of shitheads, you know, like I'm trying not to be. I'm just trying to get here. And I was in a good mood when I got there, even though the coffer and hacker people on the plane were annoying as fuck because all of their biometric scanners that they were supposed to launch with were broken. So they had to do it the old way by just taking my picture and stamping my passport. So I was like, yes. So I snuck in and out of there without having to give up biometrics, which was nice.
That is good news. One of the things that, you know, I with you, I do very much enjoy the culture, the architecture, the art, you know, the history. I love all that stuff. But one of the many things that I often look forward to in travel, and in fact, it's kind of the main thing for me, and like 2 nights before you left, I was in Vegas with you.
Yep.
And one of the things that you did is the night that I got there, you went and got some steaks.
Yeah.
Because there was a fear that you would not have cuisine that. So it was like kind of a last meal before you went off to Spain and were forced to eat paella and tapas.
I think the phrasing I used was I was concerned that for the next week and a half I would be eating nothing but paella and sangria. And so I wanted a real meal before I left so I could at least eat a solid dinner.
Correct, yes.
True. It's factually correct.
By the way, were amazing steaks. However, I was curious, how was the food?
Food was great.
Was it?
Food was great, yeah. I'm a big seafood guy. You're not. So I realize there's a divide.
I like seafood. I can't eat shellfish.
Yeah.
But I love seafood. I'll eat Chilean sea bass. I'll eat any like fish, but I cannot eat crustaceans. So,
yeah, the crustacean cuisine is second to none. Like, it's insane. I am not a monster big fan of paella because I like fried rice and white rice and brown rice, but I don't like sticky rice where it like collects to your teeth. But we had good paella, which was really fun. The best tapas you can get are called patatas bravas, which is just like an air fried potato that they hand cut, and then they make dipping sauces that you can just use a little fork and stab one of these giant taters with and just eat it with typically like a chive based dipping sauce, and some of them will be spicier and stuff. That was great. The pasta I had there was really, really good. gosh, what else did we have? We had they had a wood-fired pizza there, and so we had like an Italian pizza in Spain that was really good as well.
Yeah, because Spain obviously culinarily borrows a lot from Italy, but it also borrows a lot from Mediterranean cuisines,
and France.
Then pulls in and France. So like it's kind of a weird melting pot where they also originate certain things that certain spices and culinary uh, culinary ways that got brought over to Mexico when Spain took over Mexico. So we get some of that through Mexico. So it's a weird combination of all these different cultures that kind of merge together in Spain. Like Italy is specifically Italy. You could probably get a little bit of Grecian influence in there, but mainly, Italian food versus Greek food.
Yeah,
and the French food is very specific to France.
Correct. The bread is unbelievable in Italy. Like the loaves that they make there are insane.
A blend of all of those combined, mixing different types of spices and techniques and stuff.
And so there was not a single frijoles on any of the menus at all. There was no bean dishes whatsoever in Spain, period, everywhere I went. It was noodle based, rice based, meat based, potatoes, all kinds of stuff. But there were no like bean dishes and stuff. So it was like, well, that's kind of not what I expected, because that's everywhere in Mexico, right? Yeah. And they add that to all kinds of Spanish food, which I just thought were the same thing, and they're definitely not. So that was a learning experience as well. But yeah, I didn't have any bad food the whole time. I wasn't a massive fan of paella, but made sure that we got some from a place that was supposed to have really good stuff. And the desserts were awesome. Like some of the places were really neat. Like you'd walk in, the bartender would just hand you a flute of champagne while you waited for your table. They're like, yeah, this is just, we give everybody these or whatever. And we had a really huge meal and a dessert, which was insane. And then they came by with shots that were like shots of basically like a coffee. It was like a liqueur with like some whipped cream in it, and they dusted it with something and they put a little straw in it or whatever. And they kind of gave that as a complimentary post dessert thing. Because what is popular in Europe is to have an espresso shot after a meal to help you digest everything. And the whole entire thing was like $45 for like basically a 3 or 4 course meal and stuff. So while the euro is more expensive than the dollar, things are quite reasonably priced for like stuff to eat or stuff to, if you go shopping or whatever. And yeah, if you want to roll into Balenciaga or whatever, you're going to spend thousands of dollars on stuff. Like that's everywhere. But for food, for like gift shop stuff, I have something for you. Yeah. I have something for you. I brought something for, Peter and Paul. And like I sent mutual friend Dan Reyes. He collects poker cards as well. And I found him a set of poker cards in the Pablo Picasso Museum. And so sure. They have like little Picasso artworks on the back.
Spanish Inquisition playing cards.
Yeah, I got you a conquistador's hat, an official helmet that you can wear with a little sprig in it. And
perfect. I'll sport it around North Idaho.
Can you send me to your swashbuckling section? I'm interested in a rapier of some kind. No, there was none of that, unfortunately. But no, things were like priced really well. But I will say, as far as the trip's concerned, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. So I really made the best of the situation that I was in, and just cool. I did the best I could to prepare for being in a different country halfway around the world. So I did.
I watched you prepare for that.
I did come in clutch in a few of those. How come my phone doesn't work? Where are my minutes? Blah, blah, blah. I need a Wi-Fi hotspot. Like all these different things. It's good to prepare for everything you possibly can, and then try to have the best time you can. But while I like Delta as an airline, I will not do a Delta vacation package. The hotels they had were trash. The one that we stayed at was not great. The mattress was like sleeping on the floor pretty much. The staff at the hotel did not want to talk to us because at a glance they figured we were American and just hid in the back. Like one woman hid in the back room every time we would like walk up to the counter. And it was just fucking brutal. Like, it's very easy to get around in that city, but if you don't have a plan to get from the airport to the hotel and stuff like that, relying on somebody else to schedule that for you is a big pain in the ass. And then the worst is coming back. You know, we had a favorable flight we went from Barcelona to Amsterdam and then from Amsterdam to Seattle. And that flight is, if you leave at 4 p.m. on Saturday, you land at 4 p.m. on Saturday. So you go back through the dateline and all the time zones, and you start where you took off from after being in the sky for 12 hours. And it sucked because both of us were sick on the way home. Like just lozenge, you know, Theraflu.
Yeah.
Like, oh, would you like a complimentary glass of wine? Like, nope. I'll turn into a prune. Just trying to stay hydrated. And the worst is you're in a pressurized cabin that high up for that long. Like, you know, you can't sleep well. Your air is recycled. You know, if you're already feeling shitty, your nostrils are locked into that pressured situation. It just sucks. You can't get better, you know.
My joints swell.
Yep.
Like my feet start to swell. Like, yeah.
Well, and for me, man, and this happens when I would travel from Seattle to your neck of the woods every time. Mm-hmm. You go from a very humid environment back to a very arid environment, and your fingers that were swollen like go back down. You instantly get like borderline dehydrated. You're just chugging water left, right, and center. It's hard on your body to do that if you're not really, really accustomed to it. And also, you're on a different sleep schedule. They're 9 hours in advance of the time zones that we have over here. And you're not sleeping well on a mattress that sucks. You're tired as shit. You're walking everywhere, miles of walking. So like your body's going through it, you know what I mean? And you have to take care of that. So I didn't do a lot of like, let's drink a ton of sangria and wine and stuff. I had a glass of wine. I had one local beer that was cool. But I drank so much water, which is what I'm accustomed to doing. I put down a bunch of these a day anyway, but my body was starting to feel it just naturally being run down with no rest for day after day. Cause I had zero sleep for 2.5 days on the way in, cause I don't sleep on planes. And so it's hard on your body to do that. So I think if I were to do it again, all the political connotations and how the world changed aside, to scratch the surface, I think being boots on ground, it would behoove one to be there for 10 days and not 5, and then take a 14-day block of time off so that you do have that recovery time in case you get sick, or at least be able to adjust your sleep schedule. So while my sleep schedule's almost there now, my body is not, and I'm like on a bunch of Theraflu and stuff right now. We were talking before the podcast. I'm like, I don't think it's gonna be a long one tonight because I'm like kind of hanging on by a thread. But it was an incredible time for what it was, though.
Yeah, we scratched a couple of topics off the agenda tonight, and that's okay. We can always come back to those easy. But yeah, I'm glad that like I think when you announced that you were officially back in the United States, I asked you how everything went, and you gave me a meg scale on it, and I thought that was hilarious. I actually told my wife.
I laughed when you sent that, like how many megs was it? I was like, perfect. That's exactly what I wanted.
Yeah. So
I think, you know, for truly like 4.5, because it was a slog to get through everything. I mean, customs was a motherfucker. Like we got there, we landed. We're like, cool, we're here. We're landing. This is insane. I thought I would never leave this aircraft. We land and they park on the runway. And they're like, Yeah, we got to wait for the buses to come get you to bus you into the airport. Like, cool. Like, why is this happening? They're like, well, we haven't really expanded this airport. And when there's a lot of travel picking up or flights being redirected, and we just bought buses. So we'll just park the planes right out here and then we'll coast them in for service and refueling whenever we do have an open gate, which could be hours from now.
You're like 1,000-year-old country and you haven't gotten up to speed with your airport yet? Like,
yep.
Oh, wow.
So we literally parked and then sat parked for like 30 minutes. And then they opened up the plane and it took us about another 30 minutes to get our shit onto the bus. Then we got bussed into the airport and we all got funneled in from the ground floor all the way up to the top floor where there were eight or nine other aircrafts worth of people, all one by one having to funnel into the single person that could check your fucking passport.
That is my nightmare.
And I was like, oh nightmare. My, like this.
My wife would be so panicked because I would be going into a boiling state of rage.
Yeah.
And she could feel it on me the minute we walked in that room and saw that many people. I'd be like, fuck, we're leaving.
And there's nowhere to go.
Where are we going to go?
There's nowhere to go.
Yeah. I go into full on.
Yeah. Mode. Well, and I made the best of it because I kind of put an ear up and I could hear the English language being spoken. And then I would just kind of like eavesdrop in until eye contact was made and I would make a friend. And so I talked to this couple that were really excited to be in Spain for the one day. They're like, boy, not sure we're going to be able to get out of this airport on time tomorrow or whatever, but we're staying here and then we're going to another city and then we're getting on a cruise boat and we're going to go do this thing. So we talked for a long time and it was great because it was a way to pass the time. And I'm starting to look at the people that are getting processed and none of them are getting fingerprints taken. They're all just doing the photos and then the passport stamper person. I was like, sick. So all the machines that were there to help process all these people quicker were all had red neon lights around the borders of the screens that were all lined up on each sides of the walls for this walkway. And it was all out of order. And I was like, okay, well, I can deal with that. Because I don't have a flight to catch going from international to check in to international. This is great news. So, I mean, that's how we started, man. And then it was just like the person that was supposed to pick us up was furious because it took us fucking 3 hours after we were supposed to land to actually get to the lobby of the airport. It's like, what can you do, man? You're stuck with thousands of your best friends after fucking 15 hours in the air just trying to get to the lobby and figure stuff out. Completely sleep deprived, don't know where you're at, you know, a lot of stuff going on. And that was kind of most of the trip was just dealing with logistical shit show stuff like that, where I was like, it's out of my control. There's not a lot I can do about it, but this is not fun. Like, this is definitely a real pain in the ass. So there was a lot of that we dealt with, but overall it was kind of like, you know, I don't have a big agenda while I'm here other than to see cool buildings, and I don't much care about the festivities that are going on around the city. So I'm not here to see a soccer game or participate in a cruise or any of that stuff. So it was easier to find zen moments where you could, but yeah, it was a pain in the ass, dude.
Well, I'm glad you got to go anyway, even if it was a logistical nightmare. And I'm glad you got to experience that for a magnitude of reasons. You know, one of which is, you know, just to put eyes on different parts of the country on a personal level and be able to kind of test the temperature of society without being told through the lens of the internet. You know, because that's what we do now. We make assumptions and we make.
I mean, some of those stereotypes are definitely stereotypes for a reason. Like most of the French people that I've met have been dickheads to me, no matter where I'm at in the world, but particularly in Europe. And the person I went with went to a local coffee shop, talked to, it was like a husband-wife deal. Talked to the husband who was like, "Oh, I'll make you this pumpkin drink, and do you want it iced or do you want it hot?" "Oh, I want it iced." "Okay." So the next woman in line is a French woman, And the wife is like, oh, you know, takes a drink order. Do you want that hot or do you want that ice? And the French woman replies with, I want the drink hot. I'm not American. And like snidely looked over at the person I was traveling with and was like, what the fuck does that mean? And I was like, uh-oh. Calm yourself. That's kind of how it is with some people. But yeah, besides that, getting sneezed on and coughed on and, you know, people basically wiping themselves on you. It's just like, like really, really rude, loud, different cultures from everywhere that if I call out, I'll be a racist for saying that. But it was unbelievably bad in some areas. So yeah. I didn't get to go to Parkwell. I'll finish on this. I didn't get to go to Parkwell. It was the other major thing I wanted to do. It's Anthony Gaudi's city park, basically.
Right.
And had tickets, went, had a windstorm, and across town, a branch fell off a tree and knocked out some power. So they shut the park down and kicked everyone out right when we got there. And it was like, well, okay, I guess if this is a historical monument and you don't want stuff falling over and breaking pieces of the park, like, what do we do? And this is a 35 euro cab ride to get there. So it's like frustrating. Also, I'm at this point not feeling super well, and I've got 40 pounds of camera gear on my back. So it's like, it's a thing. And they're like, well, just come back tomorrow. Just try to come back tomorrow. Like, ugh. All right. So come back the next day. And they were like, oh, yeah, you have to have a ticket for today, and it's sold out. And now there's hundreds and hundreds of people there because, well, everyone that couldn't go yesterday came back today. And so we get out of the cab. There's another $35, $38 cab ride, right? Or euro cab ride. And they're like, yeah, well, the tickets from yesterday, they'll be refunded in like 6 to 8 weeks whenever we can get around to it. But you're supposed to have a ticket for the day of, and we're sold out for today. And it's like, right, but you told us to come back today, presumably to use the same ticket that was not honored yesterday, and we still can't get in the park? Like, no, you're going to have to try and buy a ticket for tomorrow and come back tomorrow. It's like, well, I fly back to America tomorrow. I can't do that. So you spent $80 on a cab to get up to this park, and you didn't get to get in twice. That was a pain in the ass. So it was like, oh, all right. Is there anything else we should know since your website didn't post anything about it? You know what I mean? Like, you could have put big banners up that said, hey, yesterday was fucked. Don't come back today. You know, like,
right, yeah.
And so I was really bummed about that because that's supposed to be a very architecturally beautiful place to check out, which was the number 2 important thing I wanted to see there. So, and I didn't get to, which sucks, but que sera. Overall, worth it to see and experience. It was just a really rough set of circumstances to do it in. So,
right. Bumpy ride. So,
yeah, and cover your mouth when you sneeze. That's the moral of the story today, folks. We're 49 minutes into the show, and if you take anything away, it's cover your fucking mouth when you sneeze. Don't sneeze on your neighbor. They get furious. Turns out, right before getting sick.
Well, I think, not to switch gears, I enjoyed very much listening to, because this is the first time this is the first time we've spoken since you got back. So it was good I enjoyed listening to every bit of that because I was highly curious. But to keep the momentum of the show going and get you out of here, let me give you an update. Right before you left, one of the things that we had done a Monday evening show, I think, because we were going to do a Charlie Kirk. Did we do that already? Because
so we did it because Tuesday was supposed to be the Charlie Kirk
memorial thing. Did we already talk about this? I can't even remember.
We talked about you like preparing for that, and it was like a thing that landed on Tuesday, so to speak, and it was one of the VIP pieces that you couldn't miss, and it was like, okay, understood.
Okay, So yeah. So it was, just to make it brief, it was incredible. We, you know, Aaron thought that we would be fortunate to get a couple hundred people.
Mm-hmm.
Stephanie thought that she thought the numbers were going to be closer to 1,000, which would have been incredible. 2,200 people showed up.
Wow.
And it was a remarkable evening. Went off without a hitch, was seamless. There were people from all over the county there. It was incredible. There was no, like, we had a really good security team, and we squashed a few, like, before they could really even congeal into a problem. We
nice
saw them, or they saw us and went, oh, not worth it, and then walked out. And really did a good job of handling all of that, but it went off without a hitch. It was an incredible evening, and
nice.
by the end of it, there are reports like people ended up getting baptized in Coeur d'Alene Lake when it's 40 degrees out behind the band shell. They just went back there with a couple of the pastors and got baptized that night. Some reports say 6 or 7. There are some reports that say up to 14 people got baptized that night, which is incredible. So that was it. It went off without a hitch. It was super great. But that's basically it. Nothing really crazy to report, but we had incredible numbers. Even the local leftist newspaper even wrote good stuff about it. So it was pretty incredible. We had a really good turnout, and the logistics of it went smooth.
Nice.
So, but
drama free is always good, man. I'm glad to hear it.
Drama free is always good. That's what we try to do. We try to avoid drama. We try to, if we see drama coming our way, we try to relocate so that there is no drama.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an inside thing for locals.
You don't hang the locals from a monument with Raphael and Archangel Michael on it and stuff for sometimes weeks on end. Okay, that's good news.
Yeah. So, but other than that, I've been busy. I've been busy with work and stuff, but I've been also busy in the month of October watching movies, as I always do. I have trimmed this list down because I watched a lot. I watched even a couple while I was down at your place, and then have continued that on up here. So I kind of trimmed it down to just the ones I thought were worth reviewing, because there was a couple that were fine, but they weren't really worth reviewing. And I'm gonna start off, and I'm gonna try to go through these pretty quick so we can get you out of here. But the first one I watched was the new 2025 Wolfman movie.
Okay.
So, and I had to watch all the werewolf movies at your house because my female Jack Russell Terrierist, Guinevere, hates animals on TV. So she will attack my TV. I can't watch werewolf movies.
Okay.
But that being said, this new werewolf or Wolfman movie was, I think it's supposed to be basically based off of the Universal Monster Wolfman, like a kind of a reimagining of it. And it starred Christopher Abbott and Julia Garner, which I'm familiar with Julia Garner from the Ozark TV show and a couple of other things. I've kind of enjoyed her lately. She's pretty flexible in her acting abilities. So she's been all over the place. She was the Silver Surfer in the new Fantastic Four movie. She's been in a sequel to Rosemary's Baby. There's been a couple of big roles she's been landing lately, and this is one of her newest ones. And the guy and her play a young couple living in New York, and he had grown up in rural Maine or something. I can't even remember where it was, but, and had left. It was just him and his dad, and they had encounters and interactions, but they lived kind of in a cabin in the woods. And he has since left that situation and become estranged from his father, who was a bit hard and abusive, and they have a little girl together, and they're obviously having a strained relationship and are trying to, his dad dies and he gets word of it, and so he inherits the cabin, and he hadn't been there since he was a teenager. So in order to kind of maybe reconnect and kind of slow life down a little bit for them, they decide to go out there to go figure out what to do with his dad's cabin and maybe pack it up.
Mm-hmm.
And on the way out there, they get into a situation where he is scratched by a creature. Something happens. Their car gets rolled over, their moving van gets rolled over, and he gets scratched. And then from that point on, it is where you think a werewolf movie would go. Now, the difference is that I do believe that this movie, like atmospherically, and the way it was paced, it's a bit of a slow burn, but it builds and it builds and it builds, and it becomes a really cool creature flick without it being over the top. Like the makeup was really subtle but well done.
Mm-hmm.
And the intensity of it, the way that they draw out the whole movie, they did a really, really good job with this. I loved the set. I loved the acting. I loved, it wasn't really super predictable for a story that you kind of should already know. But I really enjoyed it. It was something that I'll probably rewatch every year. And I think if this is the track that they're trying to do with the new Universal movies, they're on the right track. So that being said, I give this one 8 megs.
Nice. Strong.
Yeah, it was strong. It was like, I really, really enjoyed it. So
I have a proposition for you for your month of October. That's
sure.
It'll be the same but different. I want to know, and there's some IP that I don't want out on the internet without permission, but I want to know what your thoughts are on our mutual friend script that I emailed you a little while ago, because it's very horror centric and would fit in. So if you have time to jam through this movie script instead of watching it, you'll be reading it or whatever. I would like your thoughts, because I think it's fucking sick. I think it's really, really original and cool. Read it, and we'll talk maybe about like what we think about the characters, the placement, the setting, and sort of the overall tonality of it, because I didn't ask for permission to like go into extenuating details, but I think you'd really enjoy it. And if you get a chance to read that, I'd love to hear your Meg review on it without actually watching it. And I don't know if it'll be that script or not, but our friend recently came into some money where he'll be able to actually shoot a movie, which on his own. Yeah, which is awesome. So let me know what you think about that. It fits right in with this theme, but go on.
Perfect. Yeah, so I would absolutely enjoy that. So yeah, I'm going to do that. That's actually a really good idea. All right. So the next one was Speak No Evil. And this is a 2024 movie. And it is more of a, like, it's not a creature film, but it is a psychological horror. And it stars James McAvoy, which I really, really enjoy him more in villain roles than I do in...
Oh, he's great in Atomic Blonde, which you and I watched.
Oh, yeah.
A couple months ago. Yeah, I love that guy.
And I don't know I don't know if he did it for this movie or if it was another role, but he's super beefed out in this role.
Yeah.
And so, but it's about a couple also, once again, going through drama. And they have a kid, and they decide to go out to, I think it's the Italian countryside, to a villa out there and they end up meeting this other couple who has a kid who is mute, and they end up befriending this couple, and then later on, when they go their separate ways, they get invited to come out to their villa that's in the Italian countryside. And he, James McAvoy and his wife, he's a retired doctor who now lives on kind of this farmhouse ranch thing. And they go out there and things start getting weird and little things, subtle things, and the whole time the couple's arguing back and forth about the weirdness, and they keep getting convinced to ignore it and stay, and it keeps escalating, and then there's a big reveal about the darkness of this host family and what the real truth behind who they really are and what's going on, and it explodes from there into a survival movie and basically trying to survive this situation. And the acting is superb. It's obviously beautifully shot in the Italian countryside or wherever it is, and you don't really know where it's going to go. It kind of leads you down a path, and then you don't know what's really what, and then when it finally reveals, you still don't know how the conclusion is going to happen. So I really enjoy that. I like not being able to kind of telegraph where everything's going. However, there was one aspect that really bothered me, and it was the husband of the other couple, the victim couple, and their marital problems are based around basically him just being a big wuss, and like her having to kind of take the reins on everything, and him just kind of slumping his way through life and not knowing what to do with himself.
I know guys like that.
True.
Yeah.
However, this story was kind of, it props up the idea that he's going to have kind of a
reckoning,
redemption arc.
Yeah,
a redemption arc, right? Like he's gonna like find himself and then be the guy that she wants him to be, and that never happens. She saves his ass through the whole movie, and like it never gives him the redemption arc, and he just is, by the end of the movie, where, you know, the survivors that actually live, he's just still a broken wussy lame, and so like it never gives him that, and I was like, well, that was kind of weird. But
this is called Speak No Evil.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it has probably a little bit of gore to it, but not enough to make you squeamish. Like, but I think that you would actually like this movie, and enjoy it for the intensity and kind of the mystery of it. But yeah, I, because of the fact that it was really enjoyable, except for that one part, you know, and was just really kind of haunting throughout the whole movie. Like, okay, when's he gonna like pick up the thing and hurt the guy to save his wife or his kid? And he always like drops it or fumbles or like doesn't do it right, and she has to come in and swoop in. It was really weird the way that they wrote that. However, that being said, I gave this one 7.5 toothy megs. So but yeah, definitely a fun watch. Highly recommend that one. The next one is The Weird One.
Okay.
And The Weird One was something that I got recommended. It was a big deal while I was in the theaters, and there was accolades on the internet about this over and over again for the actress and for the story and for the kind of intensity of the film.
Well, and the internet wouldn't lie. I mean, television never did, so.
Right. And it's called The Substance.
Okay.
And it stars Demi Moore, and she plays an aging actress in Hollywood who had many accolades, Academy Awards, her own star, all that, but she works for some type of network that she is doing like almost a Jane Fonda workout every week that for like older ladies or something that had high ratings, but is slipping because of her age. Well, we come to the story on her 50th birthday.
Does she have a kind of a commanding performance in this? Because when we saw her in Landman, it was kind of like, well, she's not really saying or doing much. She doesn't have a big scenes, and that's what I've come to know about her. She's very strong on screen. So is she coming back with this performance? Okay.
Nice. This was an incredible performance. If I give anything to this movie, it's through Demi Moore.
Sure.
Now it gets sci-fi-esque at this point because she hears her boss, they even name him Harvey in a Harvey Weinstein kind of way.
Sure.
He's a pervy, gross guy who's like, he gets caught in the bathroom because she's in there and he doesn't realize it. Basically saying,
we runs a studio called Mirrormax. That's weird. Yeah.
And he like basically tells her, or he's telling somebody on the phone, yeah, we need to get her a replacement, start bringing in the 19-year-old girls. She's over the hill. We're done with her. We're going to fire her tomorrow. And he leaves the bathroom and she's devastated. Well, on the way home, she gets in a car wreck. So it's her birthday. She realizes she's getting fired and she gets in a car wreck. But miraculously, she doesn't get a scratch on her. It was a rollover and everything. And she's in the hospital, and the doctor says something that he doesn't realize, but ends up making her cry while she's on the table. And he goes, gets uncomfortable and leaves. Well, the nurse that's there is this very pretty guy. And she's not even paying attention to him, but he comes over and
in his own Gerard way.
Right.
Sure.
And puts his hand on her shoulder and goes, "You're not done yet." And he starts feeling her spine and he goes, it's perfect. And then tells her some weird thing and she's like, what? And then he puts a flash drive in her pocket. In the pocket, she gets home and it's all very 80s-esque. The whole, like, it's set in modern times, but the whole aesthetic of the movie is like 1986. And so
not many thumb drives back in 86, but I'm with you. Sure.
So she goes home and she puts it in, and it's basically a like a dark web ad for this thing called The Substance, which is a chemically, genetically engineered technological advancement that comes in a syringe, and there's a whole protocol with different like tubes and feeding things and stuff like that. And she's like, what is this? It says, if you want a new you, this is how you get a new you, and you can be younger and beautiful and everything, and this is how you do it. And so after a couple more humiliating situations that she gets herself into, she decides she's going to call this number. So she calls the number, and they very like cloak and dagger go, you need to meet us at this particular address, click. And so she goes to the address. It's in an alley in LA. She goes down this like dirty alley and then finds a sliding garage door that doesn't open up all the way. Ducks underneath it. There's trash everywhere.
Like Wade Wilson going under. Oh, you finally hit the fuck it button. It's just creepy. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. And so she goes down this hallway and ends up in this like really like clean like locker room with a bunch of lockers, and her number is on one of those lockers that they sent her a key. She opens up the key and there's a box with she goes home and there's all of the chemicals and the gear, and then an instruction video. And the video is basically like, you're one and the same. So here's the deal. Like, this will give you a better version of yourself, but you have to understand that you're both the same person. And you have to switch back with these chemicals every week without fail, or bad stuff will happen. And so she goes and gives it a shot. And what ends up happening is this grotesque situation where she falls on the ground and freaks out, and then her back splits open and a human comes out of her, and it's a 19-20-year-old version of her. And she gets up, and the other one's in a comatose, but you have to feed that other one while you're living your week. And then when you come back, you have to transfer back to that other person, and the old person gets to live for a week while the young person sleeps and gets fed. And so immediately the younger version gets hired as the 19-year-old replacement for her at the studio, right? And she's living her best life and is loving it. Well, rules are getting broken, and it's damaging Demi Moore while this is all going on, and she's getting mad, and she doesn't want to go out because she's all mad at this girl, who is her, but she's staying at home and just cooking and getting fatter and like all this stuff. It's obviously a cautionary tale about Hollywood, a cautionary tale about exploitation, about women aging in that industry and the exploitation of it, and all of these different kind of cautionary tales that they're throwing into this, allegory of sorts, right? The weird thing about it is that the amount of exploitation they needed to put in the movie to explain the exploitation was highly ironic. So I'm not kidding when I tell you that not only this other actress, who I didn't know until this movie, and Demi Moore are both fully nude for 50% of this movie. like they're wrestling around on tile floors naked for most of it.
Sure.
And it is bizarre. Like, the implication of it could have been there, but they decided to go full throttle, full frontal bush.
They decided to celebrate it.
Right. And so, and you could have told the story with cropped shots and everyone would have gotten the point. But you decided to exploit the actresses who are playing characters that are exploited. And so it was just the whole time. It ends up turning into a great movie of back and forth vitriolic fighting between themselves that is comedic, like real dark comedy stuff, that ends up in a really kind of amazing, almost Cronenberg level grotesque creature film that ends in the weirdest way possible. And it was entertaining from beginning to end. Nice. I was captivated, except for the amount of unnecessary nudity. It was so, even when the younger girl took her place on the exercise show, the point was that they were totally exploiting her, and all they were doing was focusing on her gyrating butt and hips and boobs and all that. But they kept doing it in the movie over to the point where it's like I could fast forward through these scenes.
And I get it.
Missed a bit of story. Yeah, we get it. They're exploiting her, and she's all for it, right? So because of that, the ending was cool, the creature effects were amazing, the storyline was actually really cool, the exploration of the substance itself was really neat. There was a lot of really cool factors in it, and Demi Moore was amazing as far as her acting went, incredible. But because of that, it killed the movie where I could have trimmed 30 to 40 minutes off this movie just off of the nudity that was unnecessary.
I hate that shit when a single plot device takes over your entire experience of the film where you're like,
yeah. So I could only give it 6.5 megs.
Okay.
Do I recommend it to a particular audience that would want to watch something like this? Sure. It was a good movie. It was fun, and it had a lot of positive elements as far as horror movie storytelling goes. But as far as would I recommend it to my mom? No.
Probably not.
Recommend it to you? No. This is not even something I told Erin, my wife, about it, and I was like, I'll just tell you the whole plot because you're never going to want to watch this. So let me tell you how it went. And so that was basically the weirdest movie, one of the weirder movies I've seen in a while. And it definitely had the punch that the internet said it did.
Yeah.
So it was definitely an interesting film, and it was definitely a choice for which, by the way, Demi Moore playing a 50-year-old in this movie is actually 62. So holding it together, but still very, very strange movie. And I on occasion like a strange movie. I like it when I'm seeing something that isn't formulaic.
Right.
And this was definitely not formulaic. So
nice.
Yeah. So 6.5 megs on that. And then I watched Black Rabbit, which I highly recommend you watch.
Okay.
So, Black Rabbit is a TV series, and it is a Netflix series, and it stars Jason Bateman, which is what drew me to it because I'm a big Ozark fan. I'm a big fan of The Outsider and a bunch of other Jason Bateman kind of non-comedic roles. I like him in comedic roles too, but when he's doing non-comedic roles, I actually really enjoy his ability to kind of flex that muscle.
Have you
And
seen his campaign for State Farm, by the way?
yeah, the Bateman.
When you need Batman instead of a Bateman, you're like,
yeah,
kind of out of place, but all right.
yeah, right.
Cool, I guess.
But he stars alongside Jude Law, and they decided to put this project together, and they had to basically Rochambeau who was going to play the grungy loser brother out of the two of them, and Jason Bateman won. He got to play the grungy loser brother, and it's set in New York, and it's a twisty tale of underbelly, New York underbelly, and
I've seen a preview for this. Like, yeah, like one brother's got to untangle wires from another brother's mistakes, kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. But they're guys who were brothers who were in a rock band in New York in like the 90s that almost made it, but kind of, so they had a little bit of stardom, but not a lot, not enough to be like recognizable. And they decided to go in on a restaurant together, having neither of them done it before, but had grown up in a bar, stuff like that. And it was the brainchild of the screw up brother, but the other brother kind of put it into realization through him not, but they basically pull in all of the best talent that they know, friends of theirs, the best chef that they know, the best bartender, all that, and create this kind of like really bougie like hot spot for celebrities and rich people. And you're starting off like halfway through the story. One brother's coming back from like California after getting in trouble there and being down on his luck. He comes back and shows no one's seen him for years because they had fired him and pushed him out of the business for being such a screw up and hurting people and stuff. And he comes back, and his brother has an addiction to him. They love each other, but they know, like, and
it's like if they made a Rounders 2, like what Worm was up to the whole time, kind of thing. Gotcha.
100%. Yeah. So basically, that's a great analogy. Yeah. That's exactly the dynamic they have. And so like these brothers come together, and although he's trying to untangle this brother's problems as it becomes his problems, they're also trying to protect their families from bad situations. But also the good brother even has his own problems that are now becoming the other brother's problems. And it is a fun web to untangle. They do a really good job of keeping you like zipping and zagging through this whole storyline, and you don't really know who to vote, who to root for, because they're all kind of scumbags. And so like you kind of get pulled away. As you're getting pulled in one direction, you get pulled away from this direction, and then it turns you back around, and then you're going in. Like, they do a really good job of that, and I thought it was entertaining. I hope that there's a season 2. I don't know if there's room for it, but if they don't,
this was a show, not a movie.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
This was I think an 8 episode, maybe 10 episode show. But yeah,
dude, there's
7 megs.
I said it before, but I'll say it again. There's a lot of good prestige TV. Like, can't wait to see what Landman 2 has going on. Can't wait to see
that's coming out.
That show with Pierce Brosnan and Helen Mirren and I forget the name of that one already, but really fucking enthralled with that one. Yeah, Mobland, right. There's way too much good TV. That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's something that you could put on and actually enjoy. So
nice. How many megs? I'm sorry I cut you off there.
7 megs.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's superb acting on both those guys. So they did a really good job. Highly recommend it. It was a very dark but entertaining watch. So And that's it. That's it for my movies and TVs this week.
Nice.
So I only have one more week for
scary stuff.
Scary stuff, and then we can go back to normal. So
nice. Yeah, Halloween is coming, just a couple days away. Man, this month flew by. Holy cow!
It did.
What's going on?
It did.
Well, I suppose it's as good a time as any to help encourage and teach our audience as we do. This is a place of learning how to be an evil overlord. We've gone through 4 tips. We're on number 5, I think, this week. What do you got for us? What can we do to shape up to become the best overlord that we possibly can be?
Do you have, we all have our tokens of power.
Yeah, it's true.
We all have something that we carry around with us that kind of is the basis for what we get through. I've got a wooden cross from Jerusalem in my pocket.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of other kind of items that you kind of, but the artifact is the source of my power will not be kept on the mountain of despair beyond the river of fire guarded by the dragons of eternity. It will be in my safe deposit box. The same applies to the object, which is my one weakness.
Yeah, absolutely right.
It makes no sense to create this elaborate nonsense. No, keep it safe and keep it in a lockbox.
Yeah, it's perfect. And let's be clear about one thing. You should have Lakes of Fire and Dragons of Eternity and Mountains of Despair, and
absolutely.
But let's not keep the source of our the totem of by which we draw power, or the source of our one weakness behind those things. Put it in a safe deposit box. FDIC insured.
You're putting FDIC. You're putting the value of your leadership in either direction in the hands of somebody else instead of the one person you can trust, which is you.
Yeah.
So it is a fool's errand to give it to and entrust it to the mountaintop wizard or anybody else. That's crazy talk. Keep it in a place nobody knows about that you only have the key to. They'd have to kill you to get that key to get to your power source or to your,
and then it wouldn't matter anyway if you're dead. So
it wouldn't matter anyway. So play it smart, guys. Play it smart. Play it close to the chest. This is crazy talk, and that is our tip of the week.
That's great. That's great. Like, most burglars would go for the gun safe, but you keep the pistol under your pillow the whole time.
Yeah. That's right. Don't be dumb about it. If you're trying to rule the planet, don't be dumb about it.
This is great. I hope people are keeping track of these. How to be an evil overlord. This is great stuff.
Yeah. Take notes, people. That's what we're here for.
Oh man. Well, I certainly appreciate you giving me a lighter evening so I can go get some rest. I do want to say there are some stuff we should and will talk about next week. I'm quite interested in learning about one of the topics we were going to cover, and we'll probably have more potence next week anyway, is this government shutdown and the implications of government funded programs, particularly around EBT and food stamps and things of that nature, because that's becoming a fund that will be depleted by next month by a certain percentage, where 100% of the people that get food stamps and such this month, only 80 to 90% of them will by next month if this government shutdown continues. That and a lot more. I can tell you from experience, they're still paying the Homeland Security folks at the airports. That's for damn sure. Those guys are still there being cranky as ever. So that's definitely going on. There's also some other stuff I want to explore. I just have been dead on my feet for the last couple of days coming back to America. So appreciate your indulgence there. Yeah. So what's new? Anything coming up for you besides the holiday and stuff? You got any news from Tattoo Shop? Anything you want to plug?
Here in Coeur d'Alene, we are doing a Halloween special on the 30th and 31st. So if you're local to the area, come on down. We are having a big flash sale. That'll be fun. But outside of that, nothing really kind of in lined up as far as I know. I probably have to check in with my wife. I probably forgot that I've got these massively important things that I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So, but
alrighty.
Yeah, outside of that, that's it for me, man.
Nice. Well, I will have had at least one day of work under my belt going back into the regular schedule next week. So we appreciate everyone watching, listening, checking us out, and hopefully I'm tip top by next week. So we will see you then.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Good.